In a world filled with conflict, in a universe comprised of differences, there's one thing that absolutely everything shares in common. We all exist. Including two guys named Jack and Michael, who like to chat about that very thing over a good cup of coffee. Let's pay them a visit, shall we?
Existence Brewing.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Jack, I'm right over here. I'm over here.
Hey, what? Sounding like Rodney Dangerfield here today. Hey, I'm over here, I'm over here.
Oh, man, did you get your copy of the new Beyonce album yet, by the way?
Oh, boy, yeah. They have it in the back. They're steaming it for me now.
Yes, you and your rhinestone boots.
Cubic zirconia, actually.
Oh, yes, very nice, very nice.
It's a step up.
Where would you like to sit?
Oh, anywhere in here is good, although the people watching's best from the back or the middle.
Okay, I'll have my back to the people, and you can watch the people while we sit. So yeah,
I must say to start, that is the mark of a truly good friend too, by the way, because I have another friend who, sadly, I'm not as close to as I used to be. He's a longtime friend, but when we would meet up, if he got there first, he would always, and I mean always, take the seat that was facing the door and the people and leave my back to them. And that's just a tragic shame because everyone obviously wants to see me more than they do him. Or you can at least trade off, like take turns.
Oh, yeah,
but
for sure. For sure.
No, it was terrible.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. Well, yeah, we were talking about Beyonce's new album, and we're kind of hearing it for the first time here. Act 2, Cowboy Carter. It was released today, and it's titled Texas Hold'em. So, it's catchy. It's I think it definitely brings some new ears to the country music genre. It is definitely getting some, I guess, buzz, could you say? I don't know. What's your take on it?
Oh, I don't know that I'm allowed to have a take on Beyonce. Like I told you the last time we talked about her, the only thing I know about her is she was in an Austin Powers movie, wasn't she? She seems to be trying the opposite of what Taylor Swift, who, by the way, isn't real. She's a clone that was, developed in a research laboratory somewhere. Or maybe she was real and then they replaced her. But isn't this kind of going for the opposite thing where Swiftie started out as a country musician and then decided to go pop, and so this is sort of the opposite of that?
Well, and in my opinion, my humble opinion, we're overthinking this whole thing, right? I mean, it seems, why is it that music, it's an art form, right? It's an art form, and in my definition of art, it is supposed to be a medium of self-expression. And why do we have to have these kind of conversations where it's like, oh, is it country or not? I don't know, Martha. What do you think? Do you think it's country? It seems catchy, but you know what I mean?
Well, it's because we like to put things in little boxes because we have to have our clubs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to know, we have to be told what it is, genre specific, right? So we can make sure that we're all in the right camp. We learned that in high school. We probably learned that even before high school, but especially high school is when it really gets cemented into us that you belong to a clique. Which clique are you in? And see, I always liked that about myself in high school because I had friends in every clique, and every year they had the recruiters out when school would start. It was just say, hey, you like metal music, you should join the Stoners, or hey, Chris, you got long hair, you could be a skater, or the jocks would say, like, you like sports, come on, cut your hair and get over with the A team,
Yeah.
Nope. I mean, so I liked playing like every niche that was there, actually.
You were the clique.
I was my own clique. I wouldn't have had it any other way, too. They'd have beaten the crap out of me.
Well, you know what I have to say about all the haters? You know what? And quite honestly, I never try to put anybody into a box, including you, Chris. I would never have guessed that you were in the skater clique, or if you were in any clique. But you know what? If Beyonce isn't country, then what the hell is this? You telling me that this is country?
Oh, no. Is this a remake of 9 to 5?
Oh, no. It's not a remake. It's the original.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen.
Oh, it's Dolly.
A cup of ambition and yawn and stretch.
I mean, you telling me that this is country music? I mean, come on, guys. Seriously?
Shower and the blood starts pumping out on the streets.
We got to hit the hook, of course.
Like working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living.
So yeah, I don't know. I just don't buy the haters, and I rarely do when it comes to music. Just because it's like, come on, guys, just put it away.
I always wanted to see Dolly Parton go on tour with Loverboy, so she could do 9 to 5, and then they could do Working for the Weekend.
Oh boy!
Right after, and no one would ever get a friggin' break. You know, it says that's like the communist tour to end all communist tours. Dolly Parton singing 9 to 5, and then Loverboy Working for a Weekend, no breaks. You know.
Oh man! Well, we did have some sad news, and I don't know. Do you want to tell the folks out there about the recent loss in the entertainment world?
Well, yeah, I appreciate him for his 80s works. You know, he made film history with Officer and a Gentleman because he was the first black actor to be awarded a Best Supporting Actor, and his film career goes way back to like his early 20s. I overheard them saying that he started in Broadway at age 16 on some production. But Louis Gossett Jr., Iron Eagle himself, is passed away at 87. But the news, there he is. Bouchard here. My favorite role of Louis Gossett Jr.'s of all time, Calvin Bouchard in Jaws 3D, which I saw in 3D at the Liberty Theater here. Thank you very much, in my local hometown.
Bouchard here.
Yeah, and you know,
nothing topped it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The beige canvas suit and just the attitude, I think, that he flexed in that movie. He played the part perfectly. I mean, if you're going to look at the park they had. You saw, if anybody that's seen Jaws 3, the giant underwater tube that takes you through the depths of the sea. It's like Jacques Cousteau meets SpongeBob SquarePants, only it's real, and he's sitting on top of it. He's the king of the world, and he acted like it too. So
I got a little bit of a clip here from Jaws 3 for those of you who've never seen it. You need to see it. Jaws 3D. All right, so let's jump into the water here.
Yeah,
your shark wouldn't have killed Overman. Its mother did.
You're talking about the damn shark's mother?
Calvin, don't you hear what she's saying here?
Well, I'm listening. Now, if there is such an animal, she gave birth way out to sea, and the baby swam through the sea gate that you left open, Brody.
No. Overman was killed inside the park. The baby was caught inside the park.
Okay, one more time.
Its mother is inside the park.
Drink every time she says park.
Love it. I still wonder if to this day, if they didn't cut mother something that he said. Because you're talking about some damn shark's mother?
Oh, it's classic. And you had mentioned before about Iron Eagle, of course, and so I had to pull the Iron Eagle trailer, and they just don't make them like they used to, Chris.
Raised on an airbase.
Are you out of your mind?
Born to fly. Living for the day he'll earn his wings. Suddenly, just when life was going great.
Doug, it's your dad. He's been shot down.
Oh, no.
Your country has been warned time and time again.
In
3 days, they're going to hang him.
When the Pentagon is helpless.
We're doing all we can.
And Washington's hands are tied. There's only one thing to do. And he'll do it with one of the toughest fighter pilots who ever lived, retired Colonel Chappie Sinclair.
Now, your dad understands a lot about people's dignity. That's the last kind of person in the world I want to see locked up in some stinking cage somewhere.
I've got 3 times as many hours on that simulator as most pilots sent off base right now.
Don't test you out on some live targets.
Okay, so we got to put it in context. This is back in, so Iron Eagle was released in 1986. This would have been kind of in the heyday of video games. And so they were trying to be relevant by saying that, all these kids who are playing these video games, these kids. And so this, the kid is going to save his dad. His dad's being held captive by these foreigners. Do they ever identify who the foreigners, what country they actually are? Is it Libyans? Is that what it is?
No, it's that, sort of we don't name the country ever. It ends with Stan probably, but it's like
they live in the desert. Yeah. That's all we need to know.
Tardistan,
right? So
exactly.
So then the kid who's the video game hotshot runs to Chappie.
Chappie. Mm-hmm.
Oh man!
Which does Louis Gossett? Does the man not look like a Chappie or what?
Chappie sounds like somebody who built the railroad.
Chappie sounds like someone that's been driving a cab too long. I mean,
all right, so let's listen. There's 22 seconds left. We'll just listen to the rest.
He may know how to fly. Now he must learn how to fight.
Want to concentrate.
Everyone told them to sit tight and wait.
Heat up from here on out.
For them, waiting time is over. Academy Award winner Louis Gossett Jr., Jason Gedrick, Iron Eagle.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's a hell of a soundtrack, I might add, too, and I'm not joking about that. King Cobra, the band King Cobra, with 2 Ks, by the way, thank you very much, does a song on that called Iron Eagle, Never Say Die, that's awesome. So I would recommend checking out that pretty much tells you where I'm at with Beyonce's new album, right? Just that right there, that
Absolutely.
I have and love that song. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
but yeah, Iron Eagle, nothing, because obviously playing video games is exactly like being in an F-16. By the way, the line from earlier in that's exactly what it's like to be the child of a secret airman, someone that's in a covert project in the Air Force. Doug, your dad's been shot down, and they're out of fruit pies at the 7-Eleven, so it comes with the rest of the day's bad news. It's just so we got to go get dad now. We have to go pack him up. This reminds me of a movie called The Last Starfighter, actually, where it was a similar concept. Robert Preston, one of my favorite actors of all time, is in that. He plays an alien named Centauri who recruits this young man who is a video game wizard and plays the game, which is eponymous to the movie title, The Last Starfighter. And he's like one of the best in the universe at playing this game. And unbeknownst to him, this is actually a test. Ha-ha! A test, as Robert Preston says so adamantly to him in the movie. And comes down and wants to pick him up and send him up. And it's basically just sci-fi conscription. This is fancy conscription, what we're talking about here. But it's a good flick. It was the first flick that they ever released that had CGI that was done with computer animation, actually. Wow. And boy, is it antiquated looking now. But it's a good movie. It's worth the watch.
Well, so is the shark in Jaws 3. And I think in the final scene, the shark is just going right at the control room. And it's a glass underwater view. Who knows why they needed to be underwater, but they happened to be underwater, and the shark just slowly creeps towards them. And Dennis Quaid is in the movie as well. There's a lot of people in that movie, and
yeah.
And so, Iron Eagle, believe it or not, 3 films, all starring Louis Gates Jr. That's amazing.
Yeah. Jaws 3D, the underwater thing is very sort of Spy Who Loved Me meets Sea-Lab 2021. It was this incredible, kingdom beneath the sea. And that was the whole idea of the theme park. There were things happening on the surface that they show throughout, like bumper boats and touch an urchin pool. But, that wasn't the good stuff. The good stuff was the underwater thing. So in the movie, for those that haven't seen it, the shark, the damn shark's mother, swims around for a while and creates chaos. And then all of a sudden decides to hell with this. I'm just going the direct route, and just decides to break into the control room. So,
You're talking about some damn shark's mother?
It's actually, I would put it on par with Jaws 2. Nothing's ever close to the original. That's a classic. Peter Benchley wrote the book and was very sorry, by the way, that he did. because within 5 years of him writing that book, all of the oldest great whites in the ocean had been fished out. They went and killed them all because that book created a global panic about shark attacks. It was amazing to think that a book, a written work, could do that back in the mid-1970s, but it's true. I guess he wrote it in the early 70s, and then the movie adaptation was 75. But nothing is worse than Jaws 4. That's because there's the shark's not even in it. They just kind of run around on a dock the whole time and look out at the ocean, and that movie's just bizarre. Michael Caine was asked about that movie one time. Why in the world, would a distinguished actor such as yourself do a movie that was so horrible like Jaws 4? And in classic Michael Caine style, I believe he fired back with something on order of, because the house it bought me was actually quite nice, believe it or not. So, he's reminding people this is the business of being an actor. So. Absolutely. And Michael Caine was also noted for never watching his performance in Jaws. There was an Iron Eagle 4, by the way. There was an Iron Eagle 4, also starring Louis Gossett Jr. I remember him also in The Deep, which was 1977. Mm-hmm. And how could you forget that one scene with the white T-shirt, the diver at the beginning? It wasn't full nudity, but the wet T-shirt did not leave anything to the imagination. That's right. And that's probably when Calvin Bouchard actually became a thing, was at that scene. So he invented him right then. Because no one's turning down Calvin, wet T-shirt or otherwise, that's for sure. But we'll miss Louis Gossett Jr. He was 87. I don't think he'd acted in a while. I don't know. I didn't check IMDb, but. Well, he was in a lot, and he not only was in film, but he was on television. And, I think he was also in some Bonanza episodes. I saw some of the credits. Oh, I mean, so this man was all over the place. And we knew him as Bouchard. I mean, that's really kind of his main standout in my mind was Bouchard. Well, it was just so comical. I mean, with all deference to Louis and his family, God rest his soul. But that role is just absolutely classic. I mean, you talk about, again, it's sort of tantamount to the Michael Caine. The house it bought me is really great. You got to think Louis Gossett he's not an enormously huge actor at the time, but he's well known enough. He's done some big roles. Why does he take this one? And so I think he just had some fun with it. You can kind of see it throughout the movie. So anyway, we'll miss him. I got to do it one more time. Are you ready? Well, yeah. Bouchard here. You can never do it enough. That is him answering the phone, by the way, in the most sauntery of ways in the lounge. Mm-hmm. And it's bad news, actually. It's about the pump going down. Right. Or some such thing, because he chews out the guy on the other end. Oh man, well, it definitely they don't make him like him anymore. That's for sure. And I know I sound old by saying that, but he was a character actor, but definitely somebody who, I think he's probably smiling right now, knowing that he was remembered by us. And I think that that's all any actor really wants in the end, is to be remembered for something. Yeah, to leave their mark on the stage and to, you and I have both been performers to a particular degree, having been in radio. And so what do you want at the end of the day? You want to leave some kind of an impact on a person's day. You want to impart them, if you're a news person, with some information. If you're, more of a drama person, or if you're more of an entertainer, then you want to leave people with something to think about. I always felt like it's just you want to reach somebody every day. So I would imagine actors are the same. They just want to reach their audience and provoke some kind of a response and portray these fictional characters that we all come to personify them as. There's always one. It seems like no matter how many roles an actor does, there's always one that stands out in everybody's mind that they're remembered for. And people are kind of the same way, because even though maybe that's what we love about acting so much and the movie so much is, people largely, for as much as we do change, we don't over the years. So this gives you an opportunity to really be something completely different over and over again. So we live vicariously through that, I suppose. Yes, we do.
You know what else we live vicariously through? I think NBC also has been really milking Keith Morrison. Have you noticed that?
You mean like literally, like he has a row of teats on his underbelly and they're like Keith Morrison's milk now for sale? I was thinking the same thing. You know, that's interesting you should say that because they had something on the board today here at the coffee shop called the Morrison's Moose. And now I'm starting to think I know what that is, Ellie.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother. And I'm talking, of course, about Keith Morrison, for those of you who don't know, the man who is the voice of the murder, the Saturday evening murder mysteries. And, of course, I've got a clip here that I found, if you will indulge me on this.
Always.
Whoa. Here she is, the real Pam Hupp. The story that began in Little Troy, Missouri, not far from St. Louis, when a man named Russ Faria arrived home to discover the body of his wife, Betsy. Russ quickly became the prime suspect, in part because of what Pam Hupp was telling police.
He's very degrading to her.
And after Russ was acquitted at a second trial, Pam shot and killed a man in an effort to once again frame Russ. And then there was a strange and untimely death of Pam's mother.
Oh.
Strange events, but not a static story. There have been, as we say, developments. Pam has pleaded not guilty. And prosecutor Leah Askey, whose work on the case got her thrown out of office in a county election.
They act like I have horns and I just came out after this guy. Oh, and that's not what occurred at all.
And now, you still believe he's guilty, don't you? So what's the thing about Pam? People are dead. And the story isn't over.
Oh, man, what a storyteller.
Oh, Keith.
What a storyteller.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd love to hear him order breakfast at Denny's.
I wonder if he's ever been in this coffee shop. You think so?
Well, if we can get some clarity on the Morrison's Moose, like you were talking about here, they're milking him for everything he's worth. So I picture him like he must have been breastfed by Angela Lansbury. This is like the child of Sherlock Holmes that was never credited.
Absolutely.
The man was literally born to do that kind of work, this voice of intrigue.
Oh, I know. He just keeps you hanging.
So what's the thing about Pam? People are dead. And the story isn't over.
Oh, man.
The thing about Pam is that it comes in a lemon flavor and you can make chicken with it without it sticking to the pan. That's the thing about it, Keith.
Oh,
so.
Pam. You gotta love
That's his
Pam.
audition for Pam. That's the way to find his audition for Pam.
Yeah, and the main takeaway I had was this one.
They act like I have horns and I just came out after this guy. And that's not what occurred at all.
Precious.
Well, they do know how to put together a montage.
They do, and keep you hanging till the end. You know who else was a really good storyteller? Was Paul Harvey.
Yes, I remember Paul Harvey grew up with computer equipment in the basement of my house when I was a child, when it was the floppy disks were the size of Belgian waffles.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It filled a room, but my father was into computers in the 1970s. And so grew up with all that stuff in the basement. He had a guy working for him down there, and he was a big radio listener and listened to Paul Harvey every day. So I got plenty of doses of Paul Harvey at a very young, tender age.
Was his name Bouchard?
That's what we need next, is Keith Morrison to do the story of Calvin Bouchard.
Bouchard, yep.
Of a man. A man who answered the phone.
Oh. But who came calling? We may never know. The rest of the story.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Paul worked for a long time. Didn't he die at 107 or something?
Oh,
he was
yeah. I think at the microphone.
Yeah, exactly. He literally did it until the day he was dead.
But yeah, I say all that to say they don't make them like they used to. Louis Gossett Jr. And I'm glad you brought that to my attention, because that was actually off my radar completely.
Jaws 3, Calvin?
Oh, no, not Jaws 3. Jaws 3 was very much on my radar as a young child.
You're talking about some damn sharks.
Good.
Oh, yeah. That was one of my favorites.
It should be like basic education. That should be part of what every kid has to watch in grade school.
Oh, totally.
And it's funny how he superseded the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse for top story on ABC. Man. Boy, infrastructure doesn't have to crumble for long before it's replaced. I mean, a mid-level, no offense to Louis, but a mid-level celebrity's death just replaced him in the top 3 stories with ease. So, but I guess what are we going to do? Bridge falls down. Now you just got to pick up the pieces and build it over again. So,
how many?
And thankfully, not as many people.
Our thoughts and prayers, right? Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, and that seems to always be the blank statement that everybody uses in time of tragedy. And
really, truly, what are you supposed to say? I mean, because really, when anything like that happens, and you don't know the people that are involved in particular. I mean, what's really on your mind is, well, thank God it wasn't me or somebody that I know, somebody that I care about. That's the honest truth, I think, with human beings. It's not that they don't care and they're not empathetic or sympathetic to people that have lost a loved one or even just suffered a general loss to their community. But, most people are just, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Thank God it wasn't me, right? There's kind of a selfish reaction to that every time. But that goes alongside a couple of other sayings. And it's funny you brought that up because I was thinking about bullshit sayings earlier in the week. And so I have a couple of them written down. This one, I'll get on my soapbox for a bit. This one just absolutely gnaws at me every time I hear it because it's so overused and it doesn't mean anything. And it's usually, well, anyway, I hear it a lot. In these uncertain times. They always start lots of radio commercials with that, right? Or TV commercials or, they're always trying to pitch you something. They're trying to put you at ease and let you know that if you listen to this guy or if you buy this product or if you use this service, it'll somehow help you to forget how troubling these uncertain times are. Well, tell me, when have times ever not been uncertain? Mm-hmm. Especially being human. I think the whole point that you could have a piano fall on your head and die at any moment, or a tornado could come whipping through the backyard and rearrange your insides in your house with it. Anything's liable to happen at any moment in the human dynamic, in the human experience. So, to say somehow that times at some point along the way went from being absolutely Norman Rockwell, dead on, we know what's going to happen today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, to suddenly uncertain, is just laughable. That's a scoffable notion. So these uncertain times, forget it, get rid of it. Yeah. It shouldn't be said anymore because times are uncertain in general, don't you think?
Oh, totally. Totally. And I think it goes back to the whole idea that you were touching on before, which is like, how do you show empathy to somebody who you really don't know? And you just kind of say, sorry for your loss. That's another one that I kind of think is up there with thoughts and prayers. But sorry for your loss. Just be human, right?
Well, maybe, do you actually say that, Michael? Do you, walk up to the widow at the funeral and say, he was a hell of a guy. Thank God it wasn't me. Do you really take that chance just to see how it goes over? Because I know a few people that would appreciate the honesty, quite personally. So.
I would probably be one of those people.
Yeah, you probably would. In fact, you're probably going to have some requirement at your little post-after shindig to do that. You're just everybody's supposed to say, glad it wasn't me, right? So,
absolutely.
Well, anyway, it's hard to. It's just one of those times when it's hard to know what to say to people. But it's always. I think that's probably on your mind, or when you hear that somebody is going through a rough time, no matter what it might be. It's always just, well, thank goodness it's not me or someone I know. Knowing, of course, that you're next. The crosshairs always get to people, everybody. It seems like at some point, but so
that's the only thing in life that you can count on is that the crosshairs will eventually knock on your door.
Yeah, the crosshairs will eventually knock on your door. That sounds like the trailer to a Louis Gossett Jr. movie they never made. Should have gotten around to that one.
You're talking about some damn shark's mother?
A shark with a freaking laser beam attached to it.
Oh, boy.
There you go. And now Beyonce's back in the water again, too.
Yeah, didn't she write a song about that?
If you love it, you better put a shark on it.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's don't get me started on that, please. So here's the other one that killed me because I was thinking of these the other day. So one of them was in these uncertain times. That one, that one drove me up the wall. So we've covered that one because I can't stand this notion again that At some point, times became uncertain, but prior to that, it's just everything was a lock in humanity. The other thing, and this isn't really a saying, but this is something that started happening at some point in the recent enough past that it's relevant, and it needs to stop because it's on the answering machine or the phone tree of every single business, from like a fast food. You can call a fast food chicken restaurant. You could call Los Pollos Hermanos. And it's the same as you could hear it if you called a hospital or a health district or the police precinct or something like that. Every frickin' business nowadays is that. I mean, pick a business, Michael. Just throw a business out there. Throw any kind of organization out there. Anything you want. Just give it to me and I'll run with this.
McDonald's.
So let's say that this McDonald's restaurant is in Poughkeepsie, New York, and we'll just say the phone rings. And, of course, nobody answers it because nobody answers the phone at a business these days. There's always just a machine or some kind of technology that picks it up. So the tech picks it up, and it's some kind of cracked egg in the morning greeting with, good morning or, hello, thank you for calling your Poughkeepsie McDonald's. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911.
Yeah, right.
Really? I mean, really? I think we get it, I think we understand pretty much in ubiquity across the board, everybody, that if you're having an emergency, you don't dial the McDonald's. I mean, maybe with the exception of the residents of the state of Florida, but I think we understand the emergency system and what to call, the 3 numbers to dial in the event that we're choking on top ramen or that we're having angina that's going, overboard or something. I mean, the thing with every answering machine I call, it seems like in the job of being a reporter or a journalist, they have that at the very beginning. Again, regardless of what kind of business or organization it is. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. It's almost like the insurance company called and said, you need to put this at the beginning of your answering machine tape or phone tree greeting because there's a liability attached to not telling people that you can't come and resuscitate them if they're having a heart attack.
I was actually talking to a neighbor not too long ago who has some kind of heart condition, and I think he has like some kind of I don't know if it's a pacemaker, but it's some kind of an app that is syncing with something that's embedded inside of his body, and it sends pings to his doctor's office.
I was just going to say, yeah, my brother had one of those.
So he got a ping, and I think he said he got it like on his email, and it said something about how he had an event and he should contact his doctor immediately or, something like that. He called the hospital or the clinic to try to get a hold of his doctor. And he didn't know. He said he was really concerned and he didn't know, man, is this it? Am I going to die? And so yeah. I was kind of thinking to the back of my mind, dude, you should have called 911 if you thought you were going to die. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, I don't know. At a clinic or at some place that you might call instead, like where there are doctors, where there are people that could save your life, or the fire department. If you're calling the offices of the fire department, just the administration of the fire department, maybe it's savvy for those folks to have a reminder. Look, if your house is on fire, don't call us. You need to call 911. So thanks for looking us up. But I mean, seriously, you call Krispy Kreme and it's, you call the knick-knack shop downtown. Everybody's got it now. If this is an emergency, please hang up. It's almost like the common greeting among businesses and organizations anymore, no matter what they are. So I don't know. I get irritated by it because it's just like, I understand it. I don't think I'd be calling a donut place if I was having an emergency and needed paramedics to show up. Now, if I go to the donut place enough, I'm definitely going to be in line to call for paramedics and need resuscitation.
Sometimes you just need a Krispy Kreme, right?
Maybe I've been proven wrong just in that alone. I don't know. It annoys me. So I say, if you've got it on your machine or your phone tree and it doesn't work, just get rid of it. Take it off of there. Well, now that Louis Gossett Jr. is dead, and we do send our thoughts and prayers his way.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I was going to mention about that, you had mentioned something about advertising. And one of my favorites is for all your blank needs.
Oh, there you go.
That's one of my favorites. Yep. Thank you for calling Krispy Kreme, home of the Krispy Kreme. For all of your snacking needs, visit us in 2 locations near you.
Well, maybe if your business has a name that doesn't correlate to what you sell, that it's a little reminder. But you'd think most people had been there before that they would know.
Like legal services?
Well, I guess so.
Well, let's hear your advertisement for legal services.
My advertisement.
Here we go.
My advertisement for legal services.
Thank you for calling the offices of Darwin, and Schwitz. Please stand by. Somebody will be with you in just a few minutes. Yeah.
Darwin, and Schwitz, where the law evolves at least twice a day.
And if it doesn't, then you're dead.
All right. Well, so, and on that note, Michael, I don't know if you do this. I know you prep the hell out of today's show. So, kudos from me. A one-man applause for you. I appreciate all the work that you did to put together those clips and all that other stuff for us today. That was great. I don't know if you're like me, but it's been some years ago now, and I was in a strange situation. I'm sure I'll tell the tale at some point in more detail, but it's been about 12 years ago now. A few people came into my life and encouraged me to sort of do a project like this, but the hows were always up in the air. It was just like, I don't know who to do it with. I don't know what to do it about. But it was just like, well, you have to start somewhere. So I had an interesting encounter, I guess you could say, with an animal. And I know that the psychologists of the world will have a heyday with this, but I was in the process of wanting to start this big transformation, feeling like there were a lot of things that I wanted to say, but not knowing exactly what they were, how to put them in the right order, or even get them out there. So one day I was driving on a familiar stretch. It's kind of a back road, and it turns from pavement into what I call chuck or gravel. I call dirt and gravel roads. I'm a big driver. You know that about me. I like to go driving for leisure on all these back roads and just, anywhere, pretty much anywhere but the interstate. So I'm driving that road one day, and this is out where this kind of animal should not be, and driving the paved stretch, and right exactly where the paved stretch meets the chuck stretch and turns into gravel, this critter ambles across the road in front of me. It's clambering because it seems like it's out of its element, and it's a beaver. And a beaver doesn't belong out there. I mean, I have no idea how in the world a beaver would be out there. There might be a little bit of water in the...
Yeah, there's really no water out there,
well,
right?
Yeah. In the canal, there might be a little, but there's not enough for a dam. So I don't know how in the hell the thing got there. And it wasn't a marmot. It was not a chipmunk. It wasn't a squirrel. I wasn't high. I wasn't drunk. I mean, it was a beaver that came across the road. So it really captured my attention. That's really the first encounter that I can remember with what I would now call a spirit animal. And spirit animals are no different than just animals that are around us in the living world, but it's when and where they show themselves that they might impart a message to you from what you could call the universe, source, God, whatever you choose, that grand thing that glues everything together. So it was the first time that I was ever sort of made to stop and think about, what did this mean to me? Why did this happen? Because it's such an unusual occurrence. This animal is incongruous in this location. So the message to me was, well, what do beavers do, Jack? Beavers build things. And so it's time for you to start building things. And the way we build things is we have to have a foundation. So the foundation of what you're wanting to do is all idea-driven, right? So all these ideas that you have, or all these downloads, as I call them now, because they aren't my ideas. They're things that come from, again, God, source, universe, whatever you prefer. Those are gifts. Those are like wonderful pieces of juicy fruit from the trees. And as we all know, some ideas go bigger places than others, and some of the smallest, dinkiest fruit that can dangle low to the ground becomes, some of the ripest off the vine that we enjoy. So anyway, all of this is leading up in a longer way to say that I started writing these downloads down. And so I have this incredibly long list of downloads now. It's about as thick as a sheet cake or thicker. And so very often here on this forum, I'll pull from that. And if it doesn't work its way in somehow magically during the course of our conversation already, then I'll offer one up. And so that's what I'm going to do here to kind of, finish out the program today, I suppose. And I'm just going to go in backwards order because it's easiest for me because I haven't gone through these actually in a while. I've been so busy doing other things, but I still write them down, and I don't seem to write as many down as I used to, but that's also because I'm not taking as much time to listen. And so that's on me. So I need to start listening, especially now that this is going. But here's one thing that I wrote down that I thought of just the other day, and it's taking a different perspective on something that we tend to separate ourselves from. Earth Day is around the corner in about 3 weeks. It's April 22nd. And, of course, I could get on a soapbox about Earth having a day of recognition from humanity because I think every frickin' day should be Earth Day. Yeah. I mean, she's our home. We have nowhere else to go. Yeah. So kudos to all of the rich Elon Musks and the Richard Bransons of the world who are going to terraform Mars and make it their big plutocratic playground. They're not there yet, and neither are we. So we got the Earth, and we need to take care of it and be respectful of her every single day. So the Earth, or Gaia, is very often, aside from times when we decide that we want to be linked to her, we separate ourselves from her in a lot of different ways. And it's a scary thing to face that whatever we are underneath all of this, whatever you believe that is, and I'm an energy guy, I'm really into everything is energy. These corporeal bodies, this earthly form, it's energy, but it's a different kind of energy. And then our spirit energy is similar in construct, but it's its own kind of energy, and it embodies these meat suits that we walk around in here. But the meat suits are pretty much stuck here until we've got another way off to go somewhere else. And I don't think we get to have that privilege until maybe we figure out how to take care of our own backyard. That's just one little thought that I have.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
This was the other thing that came to mind the other day was about, we're always everything's so anthropocentric. We're always so heavily focused on humanity, and the big rub on destroying the Earth, which I don't think is ever a possibility for us, because as George Carlin once said, if it gets that far, she's going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas. Just gone. And she can do that with a good supervolcano or a comet impact. We know about those mega disasters that they're always dialing up for us. And the latest sci-fi movie where they've brought Ian Ziering out of retirement yet again to make a few $1,000s to, Sharknado 8 or whatever it is, right? So we know that that's a possibility. We know that those things can happen. But we're constantly focused on either the destruction of Earth itself and therefore our ultimate demise or our immediate demise, or just that. It goes along with that anthropocentrism of it's our demise. It's the end of humanity. Cue the REM. It's the end of the world as we know it. That's it. But we're not giving the credit to the Earth, to Gaia, for being a living, breathing entity herself. And so the thought was very simple, and I've wrote it down. I'll just read it verbatim. If we destroy ourselves, the Earth, Gaia, even for as much suffering as we've caused her, will miss us. She will be more alone than she needs to be, because one of her truly most reveling creatures, there's a trillion life forms on the planet, and they each have their own degree of splendor. They're wonderful colors, or they make fabulous sounds, or they have incredible mating rituals. But you got to admit, in the grand scheme of things, again, with everything being equal, human beings, to have that on your backside going on every day, for all of the things that we do wrong, we do an awful lot of things that are right. We make a difference. And that would be the tragic part. So I would encourage people to think about that as Earth Day approaches, and to try and think about it as often as possible, that you're not separated from the miracles that surround you. We always want to separate ourselves. Yes, it's true you could take us out of the food chain and nothing would change. We're the only thing you can literally remove from the planet and everything stays the same in a natural order of things. Yes, it's true. If you took us away, there'd be far less pollution. There'd be no wars. But things would also be far less interesting because the other creatures that are here don't have the capacity to express what we do in the way that we do. They possess the capacity. I mean, stink beetles can love each other, there's no question, but they can't say it in the same way that we can. They can't make a greeting card out of a tree. They can't create something beautiful, and maybe that's a stretch because I'm saying cut down the tree to make a greeting card, but look, there's an appreciation here, I think, that goes for both sides. The earth is not working against us, and even though we seem to be working against her, we're not. We're connected. And so it was a simple reminder that don't leave her either. Yeah, we don't want to leave each other because we're all we have, but we have her at the end of the day, and she will be sad if she loses us. So that's what I was thinking. That was over the sink brushing my teeth the other day, watching my gums bleed like crazy because I got to go get them scraped at the dentist.
It's because you were associating your gum bleeding with the harm that you are causing on Mother Earth. No, that's beautiful. I mean, and I think that we talk about AI sometimes, and we'll talk about those kind of things on this program. If you're new to this podcast, I mean, this is an evolving thing, and at some point we'll look back on a lot of these recordings and probably go, wow, we probably should have did that one a little bit more. But, I think that as the evolution of humanity, as a race, we are evolving constantly. And we're living in a world that has never been more technologically advanced. And that also, I think, comes with a lot of responsibility. I think that kind of what you're talking about is this kind of evolution of our change of thought. And this idea that we are also interconnected with something that we kind of see ourselves separated from. And I think that kind of takes a little bit of evolution in the way we think about each other. And it takes an evolution in that, guys, we're not independent of this marble that we're floating around the sun on. We are very much interconnected. And one of the things that occurred to me a few years ago was when I read, I think it was in a National Geographic magazine, I read that every drop of water, whether it's in your body, whether it's in an ocean, whether it's in a cloud, goes somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You either drink it or exude it. And if you break that down to just a molecular structure, we're all interconnected.
You're right, Michael. And we go to one of my first laws of spiritual energy, which is the first law of energy itself. And this is something that I remind people about all the time when they worry about death, or when they worry about what they're doing with their life, or when they worry, because we're constantly worried, because we're on a clock here. We're under a certain set of physical forces, parameters that will conclude this experience, whether we like it or not. We are ephemeral. We are evanescent. So that troubles us. But the reminder that I always give people, it's a basic, like Jack Hansen 101, is everything is energy. Can we agree, even if we can't agree on whose God is better to bow down and pray to, or who has, better soup, or could we agree on the fact that whatever we call this thing called energy that makes things exist, that makes them come alive, even if they aren't sentient, even if they aren't biologically vital, they are there. Can we agree to just call whatever that force is energy? And if we can agree upon that, then the first law of spiritual energy, i.e. whatever it is, that lightning rod within you and me and 8 billion other people here that makes us all tick and makes all the trillions of ones that have come and gone before us tick, is the same as it is with science. And that is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. And so therefore, you're eternal, baby. There's no getting around it. You have no you have no minting date and you have no expiration date because your energy can't be created or destroyed. And science has proven that. So if you just plug it into the spiritual equation, again, for lack of a better term, we're so limited with our words, there you go.
And circling back to your things that bug you, or the phrases that bug you. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, we'll talk about you never know at some point too down the line. But yeah, it's good. It's good. There's I want to talk about AI some more with you too at a later date, because that seems to be the biggest thing on the block right now. And again, it's a scary thought to a lot of people. I think everything is a balancing act with humans in this experience, Michael. Everything is about making sure let me just throw anything out at you. Social media, Big Macs, social media is fine if it's used properly. If it's used, I know people that enjoy the hell out of social media because they use it wisely, because they use it for its intended purpose, really, which is for communication with people that you've lost touch with over the years, to stay in touch. I mean, in that light, it's a fantastic mechanism for positive, progressive things. But and same with Big Macs. I can't really say too much good about Big Macs because I'm not a McDonald's guy, and I think fast food might be the spawn of whatever devil could exist somewhere. But, again, if you eat one every so often, it's not going to kill you. So we just can't live off of them, persist off them. But it's like so many things. If it's used with the right intent, it's going to become a part of that intent. It's going to be good, for lack of a better term. Dark Helmet's going to hate it because good is dumb, but it's going to be good. But if its intent becomes, I'm going to say nasty things and I'm going to start trolling and spilling this, for social media's purposes, then look what we have on our hands, And we have people like me, sadly, who are spooked about using it because of just that, because I don't want to get sucked into the maelstrom of something that it's not. So there's another lesson on intent that we'll talk about like down the line. I call it a lesson because I feel like I learned something when these downloads happen, and it's kind of up to me to pass them along. So we'll just leave it at the earthly thought for today, the Gaian thought, and then that very basic, again, sort of Jack Hansen 101 rule about energy, about if we can just get there, because there's a lot of bodies in the ground that are bones and dust because of ideological divides. People have been slaughtered for thousands of years over the fact that we're frustrated because we have that separation anxiety from whatever it is that we've called God or the gods or whatever it is we believe in. And so if we can get back to the realization that not only are we all eternal, because we all share the same energy, we all come from the same place, that spark is in all of us, and it flickers the same, even though it shows differently because of design, because of the miracle of propagation, because that's what makes things interesting. But if we can also then remember that we're connected in the same way, we won't feel that anxiety any longer. We won't feel like we have to murder each other because we're frustrated, because that's why that's happened. I mean, sure, it's happened because of greed and a million other things over the years too, but I think that's the principal reason why that's happened. So yeah, I think that's going to probably wrap it up for another coffee session. I think it's given folks out there plenty to think about, from Louis Gossett Jr.'s phenomenal role in Jaws 3D to everything is energy and you are eternal, whether you like it or not. Yeah, and they don't make them like they used to. Stuff to think about. They don't make them like they used to. That's for sure. Well, buddy, you be good, and you take care of yourself. And what is this? What is this music I hear on the overhead? The overhead. Oh, this is another tradition here. We're gonna always mosey on into the sunset with some of my obscure melodic rock, which is my basis for music, my AOR, my corporate rock, as some would say. But I like it on the obscure side, so it's a little British band. They've been around for quite a while. A guy named Glenn Hughes, or actually a guy named Gary Hughes sings for them. They're called 10, and this is Center of My Universe. It's from their album Stormbringer.
Well, we thank you for joining us on another episode at the Coffee House with Two Guys. For Jack Hansen, I'm Michael Elliott. So long.
Well, it looks like Jack and Michael have finished up their latest chat about all things existence. But if anything they said got your own Existence Brewing, be sure and catch their other talks at existencebrewing.com and drop them an email to share your thoughts using contact@existencebrewing.com.
Existence Brewing.